So you're thinking of going to Hawaii, but you have no idea which island to go to? These are our top tips for how to choose which island to go to. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so one thing they all have in common is they all have amazing beaches, amazing outdoor activities, water activities, culture, history, beauty in spades and spades and spades. So that is common to all of the islands. So if that's the case, does it matter which island you go to? Well, ultimately, any island you pick, you're going to have a good time. But if there are certain things about certain islands, certain feel of what is available and how the atmosphere is, that might make it the ideal vacation for you, or even though it would be enjoyable, maybe not the best place for you to go. So let's go ahead and jump into each island and what it has to offer. All right, before I jump into all of the islands, I want to thank my friends over at the Hawaiian Vacation Guide, and I will link that below. They were instrumental in helping me to get all of this information down so that I could share it with you. But they also have a website where they share some itineraries, and I do recommend visiting that if you are planning to head out and you'd like to get some ideas of what to see and what to do when you go to Hawaii. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into our first island, which is Kauai. Kauai is the least populated island. With only about 72,000 people in the population. And it's fairly easy to get around. From going from one side of the island to the other only takes about 2 hours by car, depending on traffic. There is only one main road that goes around. So if there is traffic, it might take a little bit longer. Now, this is a tropical garden island. It does have a lot more rainfall than some of the other islands. It's more of a jungle feeling. Winter, especially, is when you're going to get a lot of rainfall. And because of the small population, this is a much quieter island. So this is also the home of Waimea Canyon, which is the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's also the Nepali coast, which are cliffs that you take boat tours and you can see the cliffs, which are amazing. Wailua Falls is also here, Hanalei Bay, Poipu Beach. These are just some of the highlights that you can see and do on Kauai. Now, this is a great island to go to if you are into, you're wanting something very quiet and peaceful, perfect for romance, those honeymoons, baby moons. Families could go here, but it's recommended that you go with older children or teens because the smaller children, there's just not as much to do. Also, really young couples that are looking for nightlife or singles that are looking for nightlife, this is not really the best island to go to. It's a great island to go to, but if you're wanting that type of entertainment, this maybe isn't your best spot because it's quieter. Things tend to shut down earlier, and there's not really a lot of nightlife to have to offer here. Also, to be noted is in the winter time, the beaches can get a little bit rough because the weather is a little different. So it's not necessarily somewhere you would want to go surfing or swimming or snorkeling, especially in the winter months. But it is a great place to visit for all of the other hiking and outdoor activities and relaxation and everything else that it has to offer. All right, now let's move on to the Big Island. The Big Island is the largest. In fact, if you put all of the other islands together, they still are not as big as the Big Island. Now, this one actually has about 200,000 people that live on the island, but because it is so large, it feels far, far, far less populated than it is, even though technically that is the second most biggest population in Hawaii. This is the home of the active volcano. And oftentimes it is erupting, which is, it's not necessarily spewing rocks and fire, but it is a slow molten lava that does erupt on occasion. And oftentimes you can take a tour and get as close as possible. You can't get all the way to the lava, but you can get as close as possible. But going to the Volcano National Park is amazing. It is definitely something worth seeing and something worth visiting. The Big Island is also home to 11 of the 13 climates of the world. So you can go anywhere from desert to high alpine to rainforest and all of the other things in between. It really can go from, you can experience everything on the Big Island. And in certain circumstances, with certain weather, you could even ski at the top of the island, on the top of the highest mountain in the island. All right, some of the highlights of this island is it is coffee country. If you are a coffee lover, this is where you can go to that Kona Coffee Farms and to be able to experience the coffee of the island. Also, as I mentioned, the volcano. We also have Hilo, which is a old kind of smaller town, more on the volcano side of the island. You also have Kona, which is a resort style town, which is on the drier side of the island and has fantastic weather. We also have the Mauna Kea observatories. So this is an excellent place if you are an astronomer or a volcanologist. If also perfect for families, for couples, for people who are looking to be active. There's also horse ranches up on some of the interior of the island, coffee lovers. It's really just can be for a lot of different people. Now, it is on the quieter side as far as nightlife and shopping, although there is a little tiny bit of that. But if that is your primary reason for going, I wouldn't go to the Big Island. I would go to another instead, which I will talk about shortly. But otherwise, Big Island is good for a lot of different things for a lot of different people. All right, let's go to the next island, which is Maui. Now, Maui tends to be the most popular with celebrities. A lot of celebrities go there. It tends to be a lot of people who are more luxury travels go there, but there is cheaper accommodations available. But Maui does tend to be the most expensive island because they have a lot of luxurious resorts on that island. But you can also camp and glamp, and there are also hostels that you can stay at to make it a little more cost effective. But Maui is the second largest island. It comes in at about 140,000, 45,000 people. So it's a tiny bit more crowded, and it does get a lot of crowds during the vacation times. It is fantastic for whale watching, for snorkeling. In fact, they have some of the best snorkeling in the world on Maui. Also known for some amazing beaches, and you can even see their volcano, which doesn't erupt as actively, but that top of that volcano is a fantastic place to see the sunrise and the sunsets. In fact, you can do a bike ride down from the top of the volcano at sunrise, which is fantastic. Maui is also the home of the road to Hana. Like I said, it has the best snorkeling in the world and also amazing for whale watching, which the high season for that is December through March. Maui is fantastic for just about everybody. It has a little bit of something for everybody, whether you are looking to be more active, families, couples, romance, luxury. Maui really has something for absolutely everybody. Maui is also the closest location to the side islands of Molokai and Lanai, which you can take a ferry to and explore those when you have a moment when you're on Maui. Also, it's a good idea if you stay on the dry side of Maui, which is Kaanapali or Lahaina, and then you can take your adventures on the wet side of the island. Now, Maui is a mix of Kauai, in the slow, quiet pace of Kauai, and the fast-paced crowds of Oahu, which I'll talk about in a moment. So it's that perfect mix of the two if you're looking for something in between. Now, speaking of Oahu, Oahu is the most populated. They have about 1 million people. It's also the home of the state capital. Also, incidentally, it is typically the main hub that you would fly into from other places. It's usually the cheapest to get into and usually has the most, usually is your stopover when you're going on to maybe the Big Island or Kauai. Not always, but a lot of the times. Oahu is also known for its fantastic Triple Crown surfing. It is the home of the North Shore and those mammoth waves that you've seen maybe on TV or in movies in the wintertime. It's the home of Pearl Harbor. It has a ton of history and museums. It is also Waikiki Beach and Diamond Head. It also has, again, the North Shore area, Honolulu area, which is like a big city vibe. So there's tons of shopping, nightlife, high rises, just kind of your typical city feel, but right on the beach. It also is the home of the Disney resort Aulani and luxury resorts of Ko'olina, which is a fantastic, gorgeous place to go. It has really absolutely everything. You have the big city, shopping, nightlife, everything that you have to offer, all of the amazing surfing, snorkeling, outdoor activities, water activities in the main city of Honolulu and in near Waikiki. But if you go to other parts of the islands, you can actually get away from the crowds. It's a lot quieter. There's a lot more, forest, not forest, but tropical surroundings and hiking, and you can get away from the crowds as well. So Oahu really, really does have just about anything you can imagine. And if you're somebody that likes the nightlife and the shopping, it's the perfect place to go because it's going to have the most of that of anything. It's also fantastic for families, for historians, for singles and couples and surfers, for shoppers, for foodies. It's really something for everybody. And again, if you don't like that big city feel and crowds, you can, if you're on Oahu, you can stay in other places like Ko'olina and on the other side of the island, which will be quieter, or you can always escape to those other areas for it to be quieter. But if you are absolutely hate crowds and don't want anything to do with crowds, you might want to pick one of the other islands as your first stop. All right, so that is just a really quick overview of each of the islands. So if you want a little bit of everything, including shopping and nightlife and food and everything, Oahu is a good bet. If you want to stay away from the crowds, but you still want everything there is to offer, Maui is a good bet. If you're looking to get completely away of the really high popular islands and want to go someplace far more quiet, I recommend the Big Island or Kauai. Kauai is going to be more rainforest and garden. It has that Grand Canyon of the Pacific, Waimea Canyon, the Nepali cliffs, or the Big Island, which is going to have the volcano, the observatory, and it's going to have the coffee farms and things like that. So hopefully that's a good overview to help you pinpoint which island you would like to go to on your Hawaiian vacation. Let's go ahead and hop over. I want to talk to you about some of the deals that are available right now in the to get to Hawaii. All right, let's talk a little bit about finding the best prices for your Hawaii trip. Now, right now, I am on one of my favorite all-time websites for finding flights, Google Flights. And the reason I like that, and there are many, and I have many videos to explain why, and I'll link those somewhere up here. But they consolidate all of the prices across the internet. So it's a nice one place where you can find the absolute best pricing. And I love it because you can really tweak it and hone in so you know and feel confident that you're always getting the best price. And to learn more about that, go take a look at one of my other videos. But for now, I just want to show you Hawaii and kind of illustrate some of the pricing that you can get right now. Now, I'm looking for kind of a popular time. I'm looking July 2nd through July 11th, and it is currently 2021, so still the tail end of COVID, but I have a feeling that they are anticipating higher travel in the summer as more vaccines get across the nation. And so I see pricing starting to go up a little bit for Hawaii. If I were to leave right now to go to Hawaii or go maybe between now and March, and for me right now it's February, if I were to go between now and maybe about March before spring break, I can actually get prices as low as $198 per person. But as we get closer to the 4th of July holiday, of course, prices are going up, and the anticipation that there'll be more travel this summer with the vaccine, things are starting to go up. But I wanted to show this to you so you can see an idea of which islands are more expensive and less expensive to get to, because this might affect your decision to which islands you're going to go to. So as you can see, as I was saying before, this is the island of Oahu where Honolulu is, and this is usually the cheapest entry point into Hawaii. It's also oftentimes the primary stop if you're going on to Kauai or onto the Big Island. Occasionally you can find direct flights, but a lot of times you'll go through Honolulu on your way out. But as you can see for this time frame, getting to Oahu is about $317 per person, whereas Maui is $440. The island of Hawaii, which is the Big Island, goes up to about $450. Kauai comes in at about $430 for this particular time frame. And you can scroll through all of the airports that are available in Hawaii so you can decide which ones will work best for you. Again, take a look at one of those videos where I show you all of the little tips and tricks and things that you can tweak to make sure you're getting the best price. All right, so now that you know which islands are cheaper to go to depending on what time frame you're looking for, let's go ahead and hop over to hotels and take a look at those as well and see which ones are coming out as the cheaper options. All right, so now we are on the Google Hotel screen, and I like them for the same reasons. It consolidates a lot of prices from all over the web and helps you to hone in on who has the best price. You don't actually book anything on either Google Hotels or on Google Flights. All it does is point you to who has the cheapest rate, and then you go to their website in order to complete your bookings. And again, those videos have more information, but I wanted to show you what Hawaii looks like from a hotel perspective. And you can see that it is very similar. Let me reduce this down just a tiny bit. So this is the Big Island here. This is Maui, this is Oahu, and this is Kauai. So as you can see, as far as just some basic pricing, so this is going to include your very cheapest hotels all the way up to your most expensive hotels. So there are some cheaper hotels to be had here in the Hilo area by the volcano. This is the Kona area of the Big Island, so that gets a little more expensive because that's like the main resort section where it has the really good weather, and that's where most of the resorts, the big resorts, are on the Big Island. On Maui, you can see prices go up quite a bit because they do have quite a bit of luxury hotels available. On Molokai, you can actually stay there as well, and there's some a little bit less expensive hotels available. And again, these are pricing per night. Again, right now I have it set for May 22nd through the 31st, so it's hovering over that Memorial Day weekend. So prices are a little bit higher. If you can go on non-holidays, you might be able to get better pricing. Oahu's kind of in the middle here, as you can see from, if you stay in the Kona area, from the 160s, high kind of in Maui, a little mid in here, and then a little bit higher in Kauai. So Oahu still ends up having more cheaper options, but you can still find good deals on the Big Island at Maui and on Kauai. But this kind of helps you to get just a basic idea of where you can find prices in your range on these islands. And again, I have a video about this where it shows how to tweak all of these parameters so that you can make sure you're getting the absolute best price for where it is that you would like to go. All right, that being said, one of the things that I always recommend when you're planning a trip to a major area, such as Hawaii, Europe, Japan, like when you're going to, or even Mexico, if you're going to a major typical touristy kind of a place, chances are you're going to be able to find package rates at most package companies. And let me tell you a little bit about what I mean. So if you go to here, for instance, is Costco's travel package planner, and this is for Hawaii. And if you scroll down here, you can see some of the packages that they have available currently. And again, it is February of 2021. So these are some of the packages they have available. Now, one of the things and the reasons why I always recommend at least checking with certain package suppliers is that they can offer little extras. So for instance, here you get a $100 resort credit, you get a tour credit. Some of these other ones here, this one's a $300 resort credit, you get a full-size rental car. They can offer you little extras that you wouldn't be able to get by planning everything on your own individually. So if you booked your hotel here and your car here and your airline here, you wouldn't necessarily get all these little extra perks. By going to a company that gives you a package, oftentimes you can find these little perks. So this, for instance, is Costco, if you happen to have a Costco card. There is also AAA. They have a lot of specials always for Hawaii. And again, different little added-on things, activity vouchers, best price guarantees, certain little add-ons and things that you can do. The other place I always recommend checking is if you have either a credit card for a certain airline or you are a member of a certain airline. So say you're a member of Delta's plan or American Airlines or whomever. Always go to the airline's website because almost all of them have a vacation package section. So for instance, this is American Airlines, and I just did a basic search for Hawaii, and here are a couple of the packages that they have available. If you have Delta, if you have United, if you have Hawaiian or Alaska, all of them have packages available for the main touristy kind of places that you would go. And it's always worth looking at them if you happen to be a member of that airline plan that they have, the miles plan that they have, or you have a credit card for that airline. Reason being is not only do you get the perks of whatever package they they happen to have at that time. But by having points for that or miles available for that airline, you can use some of those miles towards your vacations. You can also use them for upgrades and for other little perks that you can do. So if you do happen to belong or have a membership to any of those airlines, I always recommend checking their vacation options as well, their package options as well. Okay, so that was a ton of information on not just what island to go to, but how you can find the best prices and how to book your vacation to the Hawaiian Islands. If you would like to learn more about booking those really cheap flights, or at least how to know you've gotten the cheapest flights available, take a look at this Google video here. And if you'd like to learn the latest COVID restrictions in Hawaii, take a look at the video here. And other than that, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Stay safe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.